that you saved the progress. Okay.
Hello, hello, hello. Right, so we spoke about Git and GitHub. So now we'll back to back these things. We're literally trying to finish the first part, which is foundational skills. Okay, and today we're gonna look into Docker for funders, your strategic advantage to ship faster and more reliably. Now, I don't know much about this app. I just downloaded it, and for some reason it doesn't work. I don't know what's going on there. I got it here. Yesterday it was working, today it's not. So we got a tragedy going on, but let's not make it serious. Also, that up later. I'm still not at that point where I need this, but we learning and we experimenting and we're trying to do things right. That's what we're doing. So the first thing to say, hello everyone, my name is Elijah, and today we're shifting from high level strategy to a foundational technology that will give you a massive competitive advantage. Docker. If you're like me, a beginner, you probably haven't heard of this, but this is the mother of the apps that you want. So you might think of this as a purely technical topic, but I want you to see it as a strategic one. For a founder, Docker is all about speed, reliability, and efficiency. Three things that are absolutely critical for a startup survival. So let's explore why. First things first, the startup killing problem. What does kills a startup, right? Basically, every founder, every developer has lived this nightmare. You spend weeks building a feature. It works perfectly on your laptop, and then you're ready to show it to your investors, whoever, and then when you try to run it anywhere else, completely falls apart. Like the the pain, the pain that in some, you know what I mean, in some people's hearts when that happens. Because what now? You're gonna start all over again? What's going on now? So this is the it works on my machine problem, right? So for example, here with this course that I'm doing, they teaching us to create a website, simple static page. Will teaching us HTML, CSS, basic, and they said, okay, integrate that with a PHP. My admin MySQL database, put a little bit of code in it, do this, do that, and now you have a login system and you can save some feedback inside the database, right? So now I was thinking, okay, I was creating this, and at a certain point I was like, how do I share this with you guys, right? So then I realized I can't actually share it because it's on my local machine. So now I've got another problem because obviously if I would want to share it on GitHub, it will be a problem because PHP is a server-side language and GitHub has its AI algorithm, detecting that language as a problem, so it wouldn't let me upload it. So, you know, all sorts of stuff like that. But even if it's uploaded, it's not working because the whatever is a local database basically. When you download it, PHP admin and MySQL, it's a local database, not on the cloud or anything. So this is exactly the problem we're talking about here, right? So a lot of times you create the obviously my level is just the beginner level where you just do little projects, small little things. It doesn't even mean much, right? But if you work for somebody that somebody's paying you, stuff like that, you start a project, all that, then you got yourself a tragedy because it's bounded to one environment and all that stuff. So yeah, This is a silent killer of productivity, to be honest, because you know it stems from tiny difference in operating system, software versions, and configurations, and it's just frustrating and endless. It's causing an endless frustration and delaying for the launch, right? For the Because at the end of the day, you're building a great project, but you can't launch it. Nobody knows about it. It's on your machine. Beautiful. So no, what's gonna happen now? 5 minutes, 5 months later, you're still there. That's all gone now. So you need to build it again. So yeah, that's the point here. Solution shipping containers for code. The solution, shipping containers for code. Now, whoever comes up with this, obviously, it had some sort of inspiration of from the I don't know what is the industry, the shipping industry, where all these products are inside a container, right? And so, how do we solve this basic question? The answer comes from an analogy in the real world of the shipping container. Really, before shipping containers, loading cargo was a chaotic custom job for every ship. So the container standardizes everything. So the Docker does the exact same thing for software. So it packages your application. So what did they say here? Before the containers they being invented, how did people actually load stuff on the boat? Because why is it that we're talking about boats? Okay, because that's the point here. Well, the point is because we're talking about boats because what is a boat? It's like it's an object that travels on the ocean, right? On the river, on the water, right? But this boat, it's by itself a platform or something. It contains like it's a route, right? It has a route and it travels from A to B. So this is exactly how information travels, right? It just the moment it goes, it's packed in a on a boat in a impulse in a signal, and it just goes all the way up. So the problem was that the information was all over the place and stuff like that. Uh, Sorry, the products were all over the place in the boat, right? So on a boat before the containers. So you will have loads of ships, the animals, people all together. So then the containers been invented, so everything's been computerized, stuff like that. Uh, so now traveling on a boat, it's easier because you got all the stuff in containers and you know which one is what. So that means they adopted this idea because not because data is traveling all around, the same as people used to do on a boat, but because it is important when it travels to be computerized, like have its own compartment. So how do you do that? You put it in a container, right? So this container is for this container is for that, and when you send a message, it has different type of containers with for different kind of projects and all that stuff. So that's the idea. I think at least I'm trying to figure that literally off the dome. Like I'm not really educated like that. So along with every single library, obviously setting in dependency, it needs to run in a single centralized unit called a container. That containers will run the exact same way no matter where you put it. So the building blocks will be the Docker world has a few key concepts that are easy to grasp. Okay. Image. The image blueprint. It's a static template that contains all the instructions and files needed for your application. Okay, read-only blueprint. The container. A container is the live running instance of that image, and you can have many containers running from a single image, just like you can build many houses from one blueprint. Okay, one. Okay, so then you got the doc file. Hold on. Oh, sorry. So you got the Docker file, which is the recipe. It's a simple text file where you write the step-by-step instructions for building your image, which the best analogy is a recipe that you build a delicious dish. So then finally you have the Docker Hub, which is like a giant public library or app store, if you want, for images. So yeah, if you need a cloud library, right? So if you need a database or a web server, you can likely find a pre-built or official image there and be up and running in seconds. So that saves you a lot of trouble. Next will be the superpower that Docker Compose has. So now here's where it gets really powerful for startup companies. Your application probably isn't just one single thing, right? It might be a web front end, a back end, an API, and a database, right? That's three separate services that they all need to work together. Okay, so managing them individually will be a pain. So Docker Compose is your solution. It sounds like I'm advertising, I swear that. And it's a tool that reads a simple configuration file in starts, stops, and connects your entire multiple container application with a single command. It turns immense complexity into one line in the terminal. I don't know if you understand what that means. I don't know. I mean, if you understand, you understand. But if you don't, let me just show you one thing then. So I'm just a beginner, obviously. Do not judge me, but understand, please. Like, have a look at this: actions, admin, assets, CSS, images, JS. Okay, videos, core, includes, public. You see how many files here? Okay, and this is not all of them. Okay, more. I still have to create a lot of them. So the point is that all this, so look at this, each of single one of these are hundreds and hundreds and thousands of lines of code. So that means all this code is connected with one of these lines. Maybe it's a little bit longer than this, obviously. Do you understand what I mean? Now, is it easier for you to understand? So, yeah, this is how much they simplified this to the point of bringing up, it's like a key. You just put a key in a huge safe, and this safe starts working. It's like a car, basically, yeah. So you put a key in the car and you spin it, and the car start working. Okay, so next will be the keeping your data safe. Okay, so keeping your data safe with volumes. One important detail: containers themselves are designed to be temporary and replaceable. And if you stop a container, any data created inside it disappears. So that's a huge problem for something like a database. Okay, the solution is a volume. Okay, a volume is essentially a bridge that connects a folder on your actual computer to a folder inside the container. Okay, so this means your data, like your user database, is stored safely on the host machine. You can start, restart, or even replace. I wouldn't be surprised if one day there will be like bricks coming off this fucking wall. So, yeah, you can start, restart, or even replace the database container, and the data will still be there, safe and sound. So, yeah, the founder's advantage. All right, so let's tie this all back to business strategy. Why should you, as a founder, care so deeply about this? Okay, first, speed. When you hire a new developer, you don't spend 2 days setting up the machine. Okay, you just tell them to run one command. So, and they have the entire development environment running in minutes. So you imagine how simple that is. And then second will be consistency. Eliminate works on my machine, bugs forever. Okay, so the it works on my machine problem is gone. Okay, forever the it's gone forever. The code runs the same in development, in testing, and in production. I don't really know what they mean when it says, well, it works on my machine, which I kind of know. I just have one taste of that when I changed some stuff in a colleague of mine code, and teacher was like, "Why did you change that?" So I was like, "I don't know, because that's how it works on mine, right?" So uh, she was like, "No, you shouldn't have done that, whatever." But it was working on my machine. It was working for me. So I guess that's the exact same thing, but in a different way. Okay, because when you set up your environment, for example, here, okay, all these extensions, whatever is going on here, obviously it's like you running a car, right? Like you driving a car that you kind of did some improvements to it, and you learn it, and when you create a code and everything, you kind of forget that certain extension exists, a certain things, that helps you up, and yeah, that is why on your machine will work, but when you're trying to move that on a different machine, then you have a tragedy. So yeah, um, the third will be reliability, which you can deploy updates with confidence, knowing that the environment your code runs in is identical every single time. So um, that's another big advantage. And then scalability. Uh, Finally, it will say that this container-based approach is the foundation upon which modern scalable cloud infrastructure is built. So that's pretty much a lot of advantages. Now to add another one, which is a little bit advanced, to be honest, is that Docker added this um, MCP servers integration where you can literally just connect your workflow AI automated AI workflow to whatever other MCP servers that whatever application you have already have, obviously, and you can use their tools so much easier, and it's crazy. You can just use it from inside your uh, cloud code interface, whatever CLI, and yeah, this is crazy. Like they're making it so much easier for everyone nowadays that it's gonna get to the point where they building amazing apps in a matter of weeks, stuff like that. So everything is gonna be less time consuming, more efficient, and I guess the only thing will be the cost to maintain all that stuff. That will probably be a little bit higher. But yeah, overall, it's gonna get better overall. But okay, let's just get back and finish it up. Conclusion: at the end of the day, your most precious resource is time. Every hour you spend debugging on and an environment, sorry, every hour you spend debugging an environment is an hour you're not spending talking to customers or building your project, which is crazy because if you ever spend time on debugging, which I'm not gonna get in, but for example here you can see one of the things. You got 90 problems. You got 99 problems, but a bitch ain't one. Hit. Alright, so you got all these problems, then you run and the bugs can show up, obviously. I'm not going to tell you how to debug now, but it's crazy because sometimes I'm learning, so I don't know exactly, but the process of debugging is hard. It's long because the debugging part basically is about logic. You're debugging the logic, and this is the logic here, this part here, this part of the logic. So yeah, imagine you have to go through all this code and understand all these lines and see maybe you did something wrong, and that's why it says hours. You spend 1 hour on debugging, but to be honest, sometimes it's even more than that. And now that we have AI, it's a lot more simple because you just pass codes inside and they will debug it. But you know, before this, it was a lot of hands-on. So yeah, at the end of the day, Docker is a strategic decision. It's an investment in a stable, efficient foundation, and that will pay dividends over and over again. And it lets you and your team focus on what truly matters, and that is shipping a great product. Just keep this in the same on the same vibe. Yeah, thank you very much. My name is Elijah. I appreciate you for watching. And this concludes the foundational part, where we spoke about how to start a lean, about lean startup, and we spoke about how to go from 0 to 1, how to look for to create your blue ocean, and how to um, keep in mind and be considered a business MOAT. And then we talk about two most important and fundamental uh, tools they can use while starting a project, and that is the Git and GitHub and the Docker that we just covered now. And Next, to give you a taste of the future, we'll be going into the back end and the brain. We'll be talking about the serious stuff where business literally goes down when we're standing on business. All right, love.